Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's another week of Office Hours, and as we do every week, we're here to answer your questions about voice design, voice development, and anything Alexa. So I am Jeff Blankenburg, and I have the good fortune of having Scott here with me today. Scott, I'm going to need to unmute you, but welcome to the show. And we're in the process of waiting for some questions. Looks like we got Austin Vach on here. I see we have Greg Bulmash that just joined, so I'm going to add him to the show as well. Welcome, Greg.
Hey, Jeff.
How are you?
Doing good. Austin's joining us via chat from YouTube, so he's going to answer questions related to APL when we get some. But you'll need to make sure you highlight them so everybody else can see them.
Perfect. Well, as I was mentioning before everybody jumped on here, which is awesome, we are here to answer everybody's questions. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, this is the place to ask your questions about what's going on with Alexa development. How do I design for voice? All of that kind of stuff. So we're happy to take your questions. And if you guys haven't seen Scott here before, he has been here before. But Scott is on our developer advocacy team. And so he's much, much closer to things like certification and that side of creating an Alexa skill. So if you have questions for Scott, it looks like his video might be frozen. But if you have questions for Scott, we can make sure that you get your certification questions answered as well. So Greg, how's your week going?
My week is going great. You know, we just dropped APL 1.6 on Thursday, and it's got some really great new features. You know, we can import Lottie animations. We can do, we've got new templates. We've got a new authoring tool experience. We've even got some really cool transitions. So if we don't have any questions, I am glad to do some demos.
Well, I would love to know what a Lottie transition is. I don't even know that word.
Well, so Lottie animations and transitions are two different things.
Okay, I misspoke. Lottie animation then. The Lottie is the part I don't know.
So Lottie is an animation file format that's sort of like an interchange format for different things that was created by, I believe, Airbnb and is becoming an industry standard. And a lot of motion designers, a lot of illustrators are using that to export their animations.
Cool.
And so our amazing product team and product engineers built a translator into our authoring tool to allow you to drag and drop a Lottie animation and bring it in and make it part of your APL.
Oh, that's excellent. I just noticed we've got Bondad in the chat. John, welcome. It's good to see you, man. Well, Greg, I think this is probably the perfect time. We're right here at the beginning, and if you've got some stuff to share, let's do that now, and then that may even prompt some questions as we go.
Yeah, so let me share my screen here. Share screen. Yes. Select window or screen. Allow. Yes, hello. Oh, I actually have to select it. Screen 2. Allow. Hey, Scott, welcome back. So this is just Firefox. I'm going to pull up the authoring tool. And right away, you'll notice, I'll make this a little bigger. You'll notice that the demo templates are just way nicer. You can actually see what's going on in them and what you're going to get when you
that's nice.
Upload when you pick a template, and we can drop into one of those if we want. But the cool thing is you upload here. You can either upload your straight up APL JSON file, or you can upload a Lottie JSON file. And so I've got one that Arun, our wonderful APL PM, bought from Lottie around Christmas, and it translates pretty well. So I'm gonna throw that in for demo, and I've just dragged it from another screen, and literally just drag it on, upload, yes, and there we go. We convert it, and now Boom. There we go. There's Santa Claus tossing presents with air going by and little stripes. And
Oh,
so this is
that's not what I saw there. I saw someone shooting white laser beams at him, and he's using presents to deflect them.
he's using presents as chaff,
Yeah.
That may be the case, not everybody in the world loves Santa Claus.
Sure.
So
Sure.
but the great thing is not every file will translate perfectly. Some of them you will need to edit, or you may lose a couple of features from, or you may just need to change your background, right? These are coming in dark. You may want to change your background to light, because there's one, I was going to use it, but it was somebody chomping away at the Apple logo. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to use another company's brand in my demo here. But the way they did the chomping was they just put white circles over it. And on a white background, that shows as the logo disappearing. But on a black background, it shows as white circles covering it up. So you got to make sure that you do some translation here and there.
So Giorgio just asked, so are these GIFs? Are they animated files, or are these vector-based instructions?
So this is vector-based instructions in a JSON file. I'm going to open up the JSON here, and I will toss it over here. And this is the file that you were looking at here. Very,
very nice, very readable.
Well,
yes,
that's going to be tough, but the great thing is that once it's imported, we can, we've got our vector graphic here, and we can start ticking through it and doing different things. Now, obviously, this was created by somebody whose first language was in English, so some of your items here have foreign characters, but you can then start going through it, and if you're familiar with this, you can start editing. So it's not a one-stop solution for everybody, but it's a great advance to make bringing in animations easier. You can design animations in After Effects or other animators that support export to Lottie, and then you can export them to Lottie and bring them in like this, and you have just the wonderfulness, right?
I like this a lot. So this is really useful for people that already have assets or artwork that are created in Lottie, and they just want to be able to bring this stuff in and use it inside their APL applications, right?
Yeah, so Lottie is just a file format. Like one of the most common programs that exports to Lottie that's used is Adobe After Effects. So any graphics program, animation program that exports to Lottie,
nice,
you can work with. So this is a great way for graphic designers and other folks who are not ready to go down the rabbit hole of APL to create assets for APL that can be used pretty easily by their developers.
Very cool. And just a little history. I don't know if you know this, or maybe somebody in the chat knows. Where did the name Lottie come from?
That I do not know.
I see that there was a link posted, but I can't get there easily.
By navigating away, you will lose any unsaved changes.
I always like the history of naming. It's always kind of interesting.
Yeah. So I mean,
their name. I bet it was like somebody's name.
Scott votes for it being someone's name.
Usually it's someone. Yeah, I think it's someone's name. I bet it's like somebody's either like their kid's name or their dog's name or something. It's always something like that. It's always something like, well, my dog's name was Lottie, so I decided to name it that. Like it's always something simple.
That's why node packages are so easily identified by their names, right? It's crazy what those things are.
Yeah, of course. Yes, exactly.
And John's bringing in a great Schoolhouse Rock reference in the chat.
Yes, he is. So W. Georgia also wants to know that could we import this animation into another APL doc? I think that's kind of what you were demonstrating, though, Greg, right?
Well, you can import it in with the converter. Then you could then take that out and put it into another APL doc.
Yeah.
If we can't go forward. So let me just, what was the other one I was going to demo? I was going to demo one that didn't import perfectly, but still gave you a really good animation. So why don't I do that? And I will grab this piggy bank animation just so we can go back and look at
another beloved holiday icon being shot at by lasers. But if you have something different, that's cool too.
So you notice our conversion is complete with issues. So we'll continue on, and we still get a pretty good animation.
Oh yeah.
So, and here, you know, it's basically the vector graphic. If we look at our APL, you know, it's basically the vector graphic. So you can strip that out and put it in wherever you want. So you can just use this as the converter and then save that and add it to another document.
Now, is there another raw Lottie viewer? Like, because obviously you said there were some issues converting this one completely. So my guess is there's something missing. Maybe it's some of the background. Maybe there's something that is not rendering properly. Is there a way to see this in some sort of raw Lottie viewer so I can see what might be missing, especially if I got this from someone else?
I will let Austin address that. He just posted in YouTube the answer to where Lottie comes from. It was got its name from Charlotte Lottie Reininger, German film director and foremost pioneer of silhouette animation.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm just getting used to some of these new features myself. But Austin can possibly answer that in chat, and if he does, you can highlight it for everybody.
Okay, great.
But yeah, so W. Giorgio, yes, you can get those. Where do we have? And Alexander Martin just shared a link to our docs with the supported features.
Oh, Austin says you can actually drag it directly into a browser tab. So I'd be interested if you just opened a new tab and took your file.
That's what I'm way ahead of you, Jeff.
Nice.
So let's pull this over.
Firefox?
Not quite.
You're running Firefox or Chrome? I can't quite see.
I'm running Firefox. Do I need Chrome here? Let's try Chrome.
While you're working on that, Greg, Bondad just asked, there was a thread in the Alexa Slack last week that really stuck with him. Any guidance on reverse compatible APL support? Not all devices support all APL dot versions, right? How do folks manage this in a practical way? Well, Bondad, one of the things that I always recommend is that you should be validating and verifying what version of APL the device supports, which it reports out to you when you get your JSON request from the device or from the service. So it'll tell you what version of APL that specific device supports. Now, this becomes really fragmented if you're worrying about building a 1.1, 1.2, all the way up to 1.6 versions of each thing so that you can support all versions of all devices. But what I generally do is I will build for one or two of the major releases, and then when it makes sense, I will either use let's say 1.3 or 1.6, and if it doesn't have compatibility with either of those, then I might just not provide it. But is there a chart, Greg? Do you know? Is there a place where I can see, like, at least of the Amazon devices, these are the versions of APL each of those devices support?
I'm not entirely sure. I know that somebody published an interesting skill that'll tell you which version is on your device, but
yeah,
not sure here.
Because I think one of the other challenges that could exist is can you prevent your device from receiving updates? Like if you got your device updated most recently and APL 1.2 was available, and then you somehow went into your device and said, "Hey, I don't want any more updates." Can you do that? Can you prevent updates if you're connected to Wi-Fi?
That's also an interesting question. Do you know, or because
I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't know that. I know that, though 1.6 dropped on Thursday, not all of my devices have updated to it. So that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But why would you not want to update your device?
Because people have reasons, Greg. There's always a reason. But I'm with you. Like, why wouldn't I want the most modern version of the software running? But think of all the people that don't update their phones when the newest release comes out. They want to wait 6 months or a year. People have reasons.
Well,
So
I mean,
this
it's also
is
like, yeah, go ahead.
No, Scott, chime in. What do you have to say, man?
Oh, well, I was gonna say, like, there's a lot of reasons to not upgrade all the time, and all as us to stay on top of everything. There's like I stayed with Windows XP. I mean, I know I realize that I'm dating myself as I say this, but I stayed with Windows XP for a long time just because of the stability of it. Previous versions of stuff doesn't works better sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. But then you also don't have everybody else's update, and that's when it gets real fun.
Right. Agreed.
So this is what I have here in the screen is a URL that Austin shared with me. Let me add that to the chat.
I'm going to add another question from Bondad just to think about this. His question is, to be truly robust, does every APL doc need a cascade like when 1.6, when 1.5, when 1.4? And how far back should people really go?
That's a good question. Since we have Austin on and he's the authority, I'm going to let him answer that in chat if he can. Honestly, my preference is, the farther back you go, the more the returns diminish.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to at least support the latest and a couple back, but also here's the thing: if everything that you need is an APL 1.4, why don't you keep targeting that?
Agreed.
Because you set your APL version at the top of your document. So you can target APL 1.4 with your document, and then you're going to get the backwards compatibility almost entirely with each succeeding version. I think there's one thing that changed in terms of screen sizes in 1.6. But otherwise, you're going to get the backward compatibility. You're going to get, you're not going to have to target 1.6.1.5.1.4. You target 1.4 and you get 1.6.1.5 gratis.
That makes sense.
It's when you want to use like the latest stuff that you got from 1.6 that you might want to target 1.6.
Right, but the clauses that we add to our APL, if we just provide a 1.4 doc, there is a safe and built-in assumption that a 1.6 device supports all of that stuff because we've handled backward compatibility for all this.
Yeah, pretty much everything. There was one breaking change. If we go to our launch blog that Austin wrote, I'll note one breaking change related to I'll make this a little bigger. That the Echo Show 8 is now a hub landscape medium device. And so they've just changed it so that how the device reports its screen size, which you may need to now update some of your font choices in your responsive designs, your font size choices, because the scaling will be a little different. But one of the great things about all this as well is that we are now supporting, and here, as you can see, we've got improved tablet support for all of the tablets that incorporate Echo Show mode or the Alexa app. So now we are supporting portrait
Very nice.
better as well. So, I mean, these are some of the things that you go to 1.64. So the better portrait support, this transition. And so here's a GIF of the crossfade transition. We could actually like throw in a third or fourth image as well, and we could walk through that if we need to.
This is pretty cool. So I was out last week, so I haven't had an opportunity to dig into this much at all. What are the other big highlights from 1.6 that are?
So like I said, I mean, one of my favorite things here was the authoring tool. I mean, if you remember when you went in on the visual authoring tool, you just had some like little line sketches of what this might look like. You really didn't get a good preview, good understanding of what was going to be here in these templates. And they updated the templates to be really even nicer looking, better to use. And you can go in and you can like start with one of these templates and modify it. And one of the things that I was looking at is, we are going to deprecate display cards. We have announced this. We haven't given the exact date at which they'll stop working, but we're trying to get people off of display cards. And probably the simplest alternative to a display card would be the headline template.
Okay.
And if you're into to APL JSON and editing the JSON yourself, you can go in here, edit it. You can edit it with your data here. But a great thing is that you can also go here, look at this. These are all your properties for this template that you can update. So like, there's no secondary message, but the secondary message might be, so here we've just updated that, and then you'll find that if you go into your APL, boom, that's been added in your JSON.
That's nice.
So you get some simplicity to go here, and you can also, it's better to have these data bound if you're going to change it a lot, because you can just throw in the same template and data bind it each, and send a payload with it in your skill. But you also have all these different areas that you can put in: header, subtitle. Wow. And there it is right there.
Nice.
And you can play with this, and it will update the APL document for you, so that you can then save it, export it, use it how you need to. So I like that a lot. It makes, one of the things is some of the developers, they don't feel like they're designers. They don't feel like they want to, go through the learning curve of learning APL JSON. This makes it really easy for them to take some pretty simple, well-designed templates, just update the text in them how they need to, change a background photo, and they're good. And they don't have to go over those hurdles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think things like Alex's APL Ninja too make it a lot easier, right? There's so many different things you can grab there and just be like, oh, I want something that looks like this, and then I swap out a couple things and go.
Oh my God! If I could leave my wife for APL Ninja,
I'm sure she would much appreciate that.
No, I mean, it is such a cool site. I have genuine love for that site. I'll tell you.
No, it is very, very cool. So, Greg, you were talking about the workflow a little bit, about how you save your file here, but we haven't changed the workflow, right? I mean, there's something that I personally, and I know others have asked for, and I don't believe this is anything that we offer yet, but like the ability to save files and almost host them so that I could just point at those files in my application without having to like basically create a copy of this, put it in my application, upload it to
No,
Lambda.
we if you save this, it's hosted. You need to connect it to your to your to your actual skill. So let me go into a skill here. This is the action demo from the last Tech Talk, right? If I click on multimodal responses here, and I go to the visual section, here are things that I saved, right? And these are associated with the thing. Now, I don't remember the exact syntax for referencing them, but I can pull up that page in our documentation, and there's a syntax for referencing them in your skill if it's Alexa hosted. So
very cool.
So that if they create them here, now the one thing that I will point out is you notice like if I go back here, I think we're gonna lose the yeah. So if I go back here, one of the things that does not get exported is all this data, right? This doesn't get exported. This you will still need to send as a payload to the document or update all the data bound variables here to hard coded.
Got it.
So there is that. The data that's here for your demo will not get passed over to your actual skill. You'll need to provide that data in your skill code or update the APL to get rid of the data bound variables.
Got it. Man, this is great. And it looks like there's a bunch of folks in the chat that are pretty excited about some of the features that we've just launched with 1.6. This is incredible.
Okay, so hey, we've got let me put this here in our chat from Vach. Got the developer doc with the syntax for referencing an APL doc. So this is, yeah.
When did we launch this? I missed this announcement.
I think this was launched in 1.5 because this has been around since before 1.6.
Okay. This is awesome.
So I started really paying attention to APL just a little after 1.5 dropped. So this could have been pre 1.5, but I know it is. I definitely know it's pre 1.6.
Yeah, I don't think it's been around that long. This is still relatively new because this is something I was paying attention to. I wanted to be able to reference the files inside that I'd actually created in the tool. I didn't want to have to make a copy and move it someplace else.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Yeah, so let's see. What's the main page here? I want to get up to the main page title. So APL presentation, alexa.presentation.apl interface reference. If you Google that, you'll be able to find it. And right here, use a linked document with render document. And if Jeff can throw that up on screen as a highlight or throw it into chat to all our visitors. I am not signed into StreamYard on this particular thing, so I don't get to post in the public chat.
I mean, I can put that on the screen, but that's hard for people to type in. The interface reference, if I can find that link. Can you give me that in the, oh, you're not even in the private chat, or can you do it there?
Yeah, I can give it to you in the private chat, but it's the same one that Vach provided. It'll just be easier for you to.
Gotcha. Well, in StreamYard, I can't copy it. All I can do is put it on the screen.
Ah, so yeah, you should be able to copy it in the private chat. And then I also have some simple URLs for the 1.6 release documentation and the 1.6 release blog.
Nice.
So it's alexa.design/16docs and alexa.design/16blog. Easy to get to. And so with the 16docs, the cool thing is that it will tell you what's new in APL. So we've got some great stuff covered in the blog, but it is a highlight reel, and this helps you go deeper into what's new.
Very cool. This is exciting. I have some new stuff to play with.
Yeah.
Scott, what's your experience with APL been? Have you had an opportunity to play with it much?
So, in general, I don't tend to work as hard on the coding side of it. I do get a chance to look around, and I've implemented a couple things and some skills that I've done at home, and just to familiarize myself to how it works. My experience with it is that it is constantly changing. It is at all times never the same as it was, which is, luckily where I work with a bunch of really cool people who are always on top of this stuff. So, but no, I understand that there's always something cool coming out. There's always something new or something like that nobody thought of, but everybody thought. And once it comes out, it's like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing. APL Ninja is hands down one of the coolest places I have ever seen. Like, yeah. It's like neat. It's just really cool how everybody's just kind of pulling together to do this whole big thing. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I can't really comment on the code, so
sure. That's totally fair.
But my brain snaps.
Yeah. One thing that I will say is, if you're looking for an example of why open source is so awesome, we open sourced our WebView host for APL, and that's what Alexander was able to use to build APL Ninja, and what he was inspired by. He saw that and he's like, maybe I could build this into a CodePen like site for APL. And if we hadn't open sourced that, APL Ninja might never exist. Mm-hmm. And it's just the most amazing community resource, and it's a great reason why open source is just useful for so many reasons.
Yep. Open data. It's a good policy.
Yes. In fact, for the trivia game that I've been working on, I have this nice swirly background that kind of rotates around behind the questions and stuff, and that was a direct result of someone watching my personal stream where I have this rainbow version of that swirl, but it's just a video. Somebody recreated it. I think it might have been Gold Zulu. Recreated the rainbow version, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could totally use that in like a tan kind of color scheme for my trivia game. So he recreated a video that I had on my stream, turned it into an APL document that is rotating. Oh, it was Alex, even better, thank you. And then I took the version that he created and I changed out the colors and added that to one of my other applications. So very, very cool.
Nice.
Alexander is saying that he did it and Gold Zulu copied it.
There we go.
Oh.
So
that was the internet.
Yes, Alexander is so good at APL and so fast with it. I have total imposter syndrome whenever I'm around him.
Yep. Well, if we didn't have all this other like work and job and stuff, it would be easy to dive into this stuff. But I mean, he's working too, right? He has his own job that is not necessarily related to APL at all. And I just don't know where he's finding all this time.
I have a feeling he's younger than we are and has more energy.
That could also be. That could also
doesn't have kids.
Right. Children take some time. Life takes time. I'm to the age now, man, where I got to kick a nap a couple days a week just to keep it rolling.
Mm-hmm.
God, aging is stupid.
It's the worst. Dumbest invention ever.
Just rub it in.
It's better than the alternative.
It's true.
Fair.
Wait, is the alternative reverse aging? Because that would be better. It's like Benjamin Button. Never mind.
You want a Benjamin Button?
Never mind. Sorry. This is my first cup of coffee. I apologize.
No, it's I'm with you. I wouldn't mind rolling it back to about 26. That'd be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as long as I get to keep what's up here, that's fine. I don't mind going backwards.
Like, could you imagine how easy like high school would be if you could go back now, knowing everything you know?
Oh my God, I would actually have done well in it.
Right.
The thing is that I would have a lot more appreciation for stuff that annoyed me in high school.
Yeah.
Like showing my work in math.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You disagree with showing your work?
I did back then because I was more of an intuitive problem solver as opposed to working the process.
Right.
And I've learned as I've gotten more into computer programming that working the process is important.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I argue with my kids all the time about, is like showing the work is the thing you need to be able to do. I don't care if you know the answer is 12. There's calculators and all sorts of other stuff that can do that. I need you to know how to solve this. And I can only know that by seeing your work.
It's the explanation that is the issue. Is like like whenever anybody told me to show my work, I'm like doing long division or algebra in my head or whatever. And I get so angry because it's like I got the answer, so what's the problem? But it's the explanation that you do need to know how to work the problem. Like, we need to know that you can work this problem and that you'll be patient enough to work the problem, which is why I'm not a coder. Because I'm not patient enough to work the problem.
Very valid. W. Georgia just asked a question. Jeff, did you stop streaming in the mornings? I am taking a temporary break only because I've got a billion other things going on and I need that time to get my work done. So I will be back, W. Giorgio, but yes, I am taking a bit of a break right now. And I'm hoping in the next week or two that I will be back in action. But yes, I'm taking a little break. Zella says, does anyone actually look at the chat? Yeah, I saw that you're 35. That made me feel bad because that's old enough to be too busy to do doing.
We particularly ignored that comment. Because it makes us all look bad.
I don't know how many of you have seen the Blues Brothers movie, but when they pull up to the Cook County Assessor's office, they jump out of the car. They get like 5 steps away, and the car just goes, just basically breaks into pieces. That was what my body decided to do at 35. So,
mine was more like 43, but I definitely know what you're describing. Nothing works anymore, and it's amazing. I don't need duct tape to keep some of these limbs on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so who's got questions? I mean, we're definitely staying on top of the chat, but I feel like this has been a fun discussion about APL. If people have questions, we've got Austin on chat, we've got Greg here, we've got Scott. This is a good time to get your questions asked. So if you have anything for us, we'd be happy to do it.
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That way we can get everybody's mind off of APL maybe.
Got it.
All right. There's no APL on the screen. What else you want to know?
Zella said something about the authoring tool. Have you seen my question with the authoring tool? I don't know if I saw that one. Can you re-ask it?
Authoring tool.
Was there an update to the authoring tool again? Last week I had the problem that the editor always lost focus when typing if a pager component was used in the document. And Alex is asking if we've made an update because I'm guessing maybe that's not happening now.
I was actually having the same thing with the text, the JSON editor losing focus. Especially what would happen is that the display would re-render and steal focus from the text area. But I think that Austin also mentioned here, well, that was Benjamin Anderson. Was Benjamin Anderson? No, that's a different thing. but Austin's on, and we'll take that back as a comment
He
because
said the
I
authoring
noticed
tools
too.
were updated as part of the 1.6 release. So
Mhm.
it seems to me that maybe he's acknowledging that.
So
Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Doug.
it may be something that they need to fix,
Yeah.
or it may be something that's like intermittent, because like Alexander said, it was happening during a pager. So
Got it. So Tapster asked, I saw a bold red message in the developer console the other day about display templates being retired soon. And he said that there was a date he thought was specified as well. Do we have any information about dates on that?
no, actually, this had come up a little while earlier, I think, on alexa.design/Slack on our community Slack, and in the APL section, possibly in the APL section, possibly in general. The date announcement was accidental, and that wasn't the date. And
Okay.
so they're still working on the actual date. So they sort of took that back, but we still have in the docs that we are deprecating display cards, and people should be working on migrating away from them.
Got it. It's good to know. Tapster says thanks. So we've answered that question to the best of our ability, I think.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they may have published July, but that is not accurate.
Bondad wants to know about guidance or gotchas for using dynamic entities. I think that's more in your wheelhouse, Jeff.
It is. So I'm going to read it out loud, and then we'll dig in because I'm going to need more info, John. So I was exploring dynamic entities yesterday, and it wasn't always reliable. In a few cases, my Alexa app showed the ASR correctly, but didn't map to an intent. Other times it did work, so I know the entity's loaded. That's very interesting. So my experience with this, with dynamic entities, is that it has to be at least the second turn, right? So especially if you're trying to one-shot it or do anything like that, obviously that's not going to work. Because you need one interaction before the dynamic entities can actually be loaded and populated. I would love to understand maybe the flow that you're in, because you're saying it wasn't always reliable. In my experience, I've had incredibly high reliability, so this goes against my instincts on this. If I pass the dynamic entities, then they work. Otherwise, they obviously do not respond. And so I'd be very curious to know how you're doing this and what kind of patterns you're seeing. I would not expect it at all to just be inconsistent. Like the stuff is there but it didn't work this time, and the stuff is there but it did work this time. That feels less likely to me. But any clarification you can give, Bondad, would be helpful.
Is that your phone number?
Okay, so it wasn't a one-shot. I'm loading them on the new session launch, and then opening the mic after the welcome message. They should work there, right? Yeah, they 100% should. So I do this. I do this in a number of skills. I really like dynamic entities. One of the perfect examples of this is my trivia game, where I know there's only one answer. So I actually replace the entire contents of a slot with just the right answer. And you either match it or you don't match it. And if you don't match it, then I record that and say, hey, somebody said this is an answer, and I can go look at my wrong answers. And if they do match it, then I take that and say, hey, correct, you got the right answer. So yeah, no, I would fully expect them to work. So this feels like something that would not be terribly easy to debug here on office hours. But John, if you want to schedule some time with me, I would be more than happy to kind of dig into this with you and see what's going on. But no, in my experience, it's not inconsistent and is incredibly reliable. So I'd love to take a look at that with you. And that applies to all of you, by the way. If you guys have questions or you need just a debugging session, I don't want to speak for Greg specifically, but I am more than happy to sit down with you for 15 or 20 minutes sometime and just dig through something and figure out why something might not be working. And we can't do that every day or every week, but if you run into a wall and maybe you're not having a lot of luck with our Contact Us form, or we're just not, like you've run into some odd issue, we can do that from time to time, but it's obviously we have a limited number of hours in a week, so we want to make sure that we're taking on the important issues that unblock you for sure.
And another thing is, what I don't want to sound like a broken record, but apl.design/Slack, our community Slack, is a great place to bring stuff up to your, bring stuff up, get help from your fellow coders, from our product managers, from Jeff and I. Everybody's sort of hanging out there now and again and are really helpful. So, and there was my phone ringing with "Call Me Maybe." I forgot to turn the ringer off.
It's good to have your favorite song as your ringtone. I like that.
Not my favorite song, but I always use a song with "Call Me" in it. So it used to be this punk cover of Blonde, which is almost redundant, but a punk cover of Blondie's "Call Me."
Oh, nice.
But so what was it? So somebody asked about Funkos.
Yeah. They've nailed it on the head here. It says, is it a prerequisite to have a boatload of Funko Pops in order to reach Alexa Jedi Master status? And in fact, it is. I actually know nothing about coding. It wasn't until I got all these Pops that I was capable of doing any of this. And so, it 100% is. That's Austin, by the way.
Honestly, for me, I don't know about Jeff, but I live down the three exits down the freeway from the Funko flagship store in Everett. So, although I tend to order all of them off of Amazon anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's the mindset that makes you want to collect Funko Pops that also makes you a good.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a prerequisite. And in fact, as it's fair to say that we're hiring, Greg, and that you better include that in your resume. I want photos of your collection, your favorite one, your oldest one, right? Like if you're not including that in your resume, I don't even know why you're bothering applying.
Well, they should also be stacked in the background when you're doing your interview mode. So, they're in your video background.
Greg, we need to build a real partnership with Funko. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a Funko Alexa, or individual figures of you and I. I think that would be pretty cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Well, I got a friend who's the purchasing manager for a big drugstore chain who would get Funko to donate figures for every one of our Hour of Code events.
Oh, nice.
So I will, I'll call Howie and see if Howie can put me in touch with someone at Funko.
With a name like Howie, he's going to get it done.
Yeah.
That would be perfect. Work experience is not important at all, W. Giorgio. You can just exclude all of that and just list your collection. I think that makes perfect sense. By the way, if you guys are looking, if you're interested in working on the Alexa team, there's hundreds of job opportunities, and you can find them at amazon.jobs. Just search for the word Alexa, and you'll find all sorts of roles, from program managers to folks on the DAG team. I would imagine, Scott, you guys probably have an opening or two. There's a wide array of job opportunities. I would say that a good majority of them are probably in the Seattle area, but that does not specifically exclude you if you don't live there. I'm a good example of that.
We are remote friendly. We are a distributed team. And in Alexa developer education, a lot of you may have noticed the absence of Joe Moyo and Justin Jeffress, who have not gone far. They are still in Alexa, but they've moved on to other roles, and we are backfilling.
Yeah.
We are looking to get new people for their roles. So if you want to be the next Joe Moyo or the next Justin Jeffress, we're hiring.
Yeah. And no one can be the next Joe Moyo. Joe Moyo is the next Joe Moyo, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right, we have about 10 minutes left.
Make sure that you put all your Funko Pops on your resume, though. I feel like that's definitely going to be a part of just about anybody's resume who wants to work in the tech industry. Is the amount of Funko Pops.
It seems natural. I need to find a good way to take a picture of all of the ones that are here in my office, because you guys only get to see this selection. But I might even have. Can I do this? Will it work? Hold on. My stream decks
Also,
are
I
not
think like a solid reference to however many movies you can easily quote and from what decade.
Yeah.
Probably also pretty good.
That's not fair, because I spent my first 6.5 years at Amazon were with IMDb.
Well, I mean, that just makes it you more qualified.
I can quote a lot of movies.
Yeah. I mean, I can also quote a lot of movies, a large amount that I'm maybe not proud of.
Yes, there are a lot of movie quotes I cannot say on stream. And now somebody's going to go and chat. Like what? Give us an example.
Like
I'd say half of the quotes I remember from Real Genius.
Oh my God. That is one of like the formative movies. It was what got me into science. That movie was, it was on TBS. I don't know, like every 40 minutes or so. And that movie was what really sunk my brain into the world of science. It's, I mean, I'm really into physics and really into like just a lot of stuff, earth sciences, environmental sciences. And it was because of that movie, lasers specifically. Yeah. There is one quote I can use from Real Genius on the stream, which is, "What's that? It's a laser beam, bozo." Laser beam, bozo. Follow it.
All right, and we actually have a couple questions here.
Yep.
Sony X64 said, "I'm starting to build an automated hospital appointment system using Alexa, Lambda, and DynamoDB." That's super cool. And Unai Galaz on YouTube says, "Hi, I want to ask whether I would be able to stream audio, excuse me, while at the same time being able to run the skill logic itself." So my personal perspective on this is you wouldn't be able to stream audio, like if you were trying to stream a live stream out of your house or something like that. But you could play audio behind using something like APLA while allowing your skill logic to run. So I don't know that I have more information for you on that, Unai. I want to ask whether I would be able to stream audio while at the same time being able to run the skill logic. I think I'm guessing, Greg, APLA. I don't think that I can point to a live audio stream, can
I? Well, you can set your APLA to run, because that's being processed and set during other things. The main thing is, I think you still have to duck the APLA when you're getting input.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's probably not a good application. And it's Austin just said APLA doesn't currently support streaming audio, so that's good to know also. So, but the word streaming can be tricky. He might just mean play audio. Would I be able to play audio while the skill logic is running? And that certainly is possible. But as Greg mentioned, when you're collecting feedback from the user or when they're interacting, that audio would drop.
And another thing to look at is like something like Popcorn Tycoon from Volley. And with Popcorn Tycoon, what they actually do is they have the music, they go to the music, which is actually going on in an audio player interface. And so you have to actually use your wake word to re-invoke Popcorn Tycoon to then interact with the game. But you can just keep the audio player going, streaming that poppy music while you accumulate popcorn.
Could you put it on? I mean, I realize that would be, this is a crazy idea. Could you have multiple devices? You have one playing an audio and one being, you know what I mean? Like using different devices to I don't know. That's just a crazy idea. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think that there's any way right now programmatically to say play this part on one device, play this part on another device. The closest you would get would be audio groups, but even then you're just pushing stereo sound to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to give that to the community. Just you do that.
Right. Make that happen. Sony X64 wants to, again, this is the healthcare scenario, wants to be able to connect a thermal printer to every single Alexa device. Is that possible? I think technically it is possible, but only in that there are print mechanisms that you can use inside Alexa, and then the device itself can know to send a print command. What I do not know and what I have not experienced is, like, I have printers here in my house that are on my Wi-Fi, and so I would use the Hewlett-Packard skill or the Brother skill to be able to communicate with those devices. But I don't know that I can set that up on a device by device thing. It's more like all of the devices on my account know that the Brother skill exists, and they can talk to the Brother skill, and they can send a print command to my printer. But having one printer per device seems trickier.
So the way I would do that is you get a unique device ID from each device. And so I could pair printers and device IDs in the back end to make sure that the print command was sent to the right printer from that device.
But do devices and printers pair, or do you have to write some custom software to manage that?
I think I would have to do that in the back end custom.
Okay.
But then again, you can write all sorts of routines to send out print commands from your back end to the printers or whatever service you want to use. You don't have to necessarily use the HP or Brother services that we make available.
Yeah.
They're convenience services, but if you really want to be precise and exact and sort of set it up for this hospital situation that he's talking about, or she's talking about, or they're talking about, you would probably want to set up your own custom printing mechanism, and then your skill would say, okay, I've got this print request from this device, and it would send it via API to your printing mechanism, and your printing mechanism would run the printer.
Right, but what you're describing is a network of Wi-Fi enabled printers, not devices that are, like, in some way physically or directly connected to a device. It's still it's a big cloud jump between them, even though they might be sitting right next to each other.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. You definitely have it would all be networked, but they wouldn't be connected directly to the Alexa. But I don't think any of these printers are connected directly to the Alexa. Although there's that Post-it printer from the day one things.
Yes, but I don't think
it's
those
not
are
out yet.
directly connected either.
Yeah, I think that's also network connected, but it's a thermal Post-it printer so that was sort of interesting. Just made that connection.
Cool. So Sony said they're using the device ID passed to an SNS mechanism and planning on using an IoT device like Raspberry Pi to observe the device ID and print to it. So it sounds like he's heading down the path that we're describing, which is that you have a local controller someplace that is sending the print response to the appropriate device at the appropriate time. All right, cool. Mont Howard also mentioned that Attention Live is doing live streaming in their skill. You can live stream to a skill. What I'm saying is you can't live stream and also have skill logic that's sitting at the same time. It's very easy to send live stream audio like a radio station or video like Twitch. Mm-hmm. That stuff is very doable, but you don't also then have skill logic operating. You have one or the other.
Yeah.
We're almost out of time here. This was a fun hour, Greg.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Just wanted to make sure that we got everybody a little time with APL 1.6. So It was a good time.
Yeah. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we have less than 60 seconds. I would be content to wrap things up here.
So are we all going to do the dating game kiss?
Yeah, we'll just do a toss it away. I saw an interesting thing last night. I was in a Clubhouse chat last night, and they kind of made an announcement that, like, hey, we're going to end the stream now, or end the room now. So make sure you look around in the room and follow a few people that are maybe above or below you in the list. Wow. And they counted down from 5, and he said, okay, the room is ending. 5, 4, and he got to 1, and then closed the room. And I thought that was an interesting way to end a session. I think it's less important when you've got video too, but with the audio interface, it was kind of cool. W. Giorgio got in with one last question. Does anyone have an approach for updating live databases on a change? I want to update all the rows of my DynamoDB to use my CloudFront URLs instead of my direct S3 URLs. This is one of the reasons that I really struggle with Dynamo sometimes. But I think what you're looking for is a way to dynamically like you're saying, dynamically update a bunch of rows in DynamoDB based on some event. I don't know an easy way to do that, and I've struggled with the query modeling on S3. Greg, do you have any thoughts or experience on this?
Well, I think there are a lot of things that are going to come into this. Is his DynamoDB table being Alexa hosted or hosted in his own resources, because that's going to create different things. You may need to like create your own special function in your skill to just do that update, because it's your Lambda that has all the credentials and access.
And that's another thing I found is that the normal DynamoDB adapter that we construct and use is really only good for individual user interactivity. If you want to do anything custom, like modifying a bunch of records across multiple users, you have to go through the traditional AWS CLI SDK interactivity anyway.
Well, you got to use the SDK, but you can still use your Alexa hosted table, because you still have all that information and the appropriate roles set up in your Lambda, Alexa hosted Lambda. But you will need to load the AWS SDK for JavaScript or for Python, and have a function that's going to run in your skill, even in test, to do that.
Yep. That's excellent. All right. Well, that's going to put a bow on it today. Thank you for being here today, Scott.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Love to be here.
And Austin in the chat. This has been wonderful. On Thursday, we have another episode of Alexa and Friends coming up. We're going to be talking with somebody from Alexa Automotive. And again, if you guys are looking for opportunities to work on the Alexa team, we're going to be talking about lots and lots of cool things that are happening with Alexa Auto. And he is looking to hire. So it's a good opportunity to see what's going on over there. And then we'll be back again next Tuesday with Office Hours. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you to Greg and Scott again. And we will see you guys all very soon. Bye.